Hello, everybody. This is Buddy Webb here in Midland, Texas. I think you're going to find this to be a super interesting video story today. It is personal. I'm going to be talking about members of my family here and tell some stories. And of course, we always have to separate what we can prove for a fact versus what we suspect and what might have happened, what could be happening. Because I always reserve the right to speculate. And of course, what we know for a fact is somebody under my home shot me by surprise, and I'm now crippled for life. That's a fact. We know for a fact that I had to pay $2,000 and wait 6 years to get 11 secret police identified. That's a fact nobody can deny. It's a fact that x-rays were faked. That's a fact. It's a fact that homeowners all over are documented reporting people in the attic, and it's also a fact that multiple people have said that tunnels and underground homes are here by my house in Midland. And so we got all these facts, but I just want to I don't want anybody to get confused on going, you're making accusations. I ain't making no accusations. If I make an accusation, it's backed up by fact. I do at times speculate. This could happen, that might happen, maybe, whatever, and you'll hear them words. So let's start here, okay? Buddy Webb here on my Facebook post. In 2002, my youngest daughter, Jordan, noticed that a light was on in the attic of my Hobbs, New Mexico home, but I hadn't been up there. Hobbs is about 100 miles from Midland. We're all living on the same oil field, the Permian Basin oil field, and so it's about an hour and a half drive over there in New Mexico. And I was born and raised in Hobbs, but the towns are real close, as I just told. Okay, so here I'm just going to jump right into this Facebook post, and my first comment was, we had just painted the week before during the Christmas holidays that year, and I was up on a ladder for many hours. I was 100% positive the attic light wasn't on, and I knew I hadn't been up there. Somebody was in the attic of my Hobbs home, and I have a picture. This is a picture of my living room out of my home in Hobbs, New Mexico at 7611 Rolling Meadows. Okay, and so what happened, it was the Christmas holidays, and I had my daughters, and of course they were minors at the time, so I had them for visitation during the Christmas holidays. And Cindy, who I was married to, had just moved out, and so it was just me and the girls. And as a project over the Christmas holidays, we painted this room here, okay? And so because all the furniture was gone anyway, so we paint the room. I was up on the ladder painting all the walls and everything, okay? And so they go back to their home in Clovis, and then the week later, Jordan comes back. Jennifer stays, but Jordan comes back for the weekend to get back on the visitation schedule every other weekend. And she's in the living room watching TV, laying down, and she looks up and she sees a light coming on right here there's a crack where this beam fit to the ceiling. Okay, so from when it's dark and you're in the living room and you're looking up, she's going, there's a light on up there. Well, the light wasn't on the week before, and we had just painted, and so she's the one that told me that. So anybody who wants to call anybody a liar, they're calling my daughter a liar, and ain't nobody lying. The light was on in the attic. Well, I had things stacked in the garage to go up in the attic, but I hadn't been up there. And I was positive that it wasn't on the week before because I had been in that room. I'd painted the whole room, been on a ladder up there. And so I was absolutely sure somebody had been in the attic. But I suspected it was Cindy because, I had just went through a separation. We'd been married 7 years. So I was guessing that she was sneaking into my home. Okay. And so here, my next comment, I had just separated from Cindy Barton, so I assumed that she was sneaking into my home while I was at work, and she had got into the attic for some reason. But in 2018, she said, I didn't get in your freaking attic. That sounded convincing, and if she didn't get in my freaking attic, somebody else had. Okay, and so I'm going to show you here. This is when Cindy and I got married in 94, okay? And this is a conversation in 2018, okay? and on Facebook right here, and here she says, "You're a liar. I never came into your home after the day I left. The only one in the attic was you. I'm embarrassed that I'm acknowledging you." And I wrote back and I said, "I came home from work and I found a message on my voice recorder where a person called asking for you. You could hear them say, 'Is Cindy there?' And you picked up the phone and said hello and hung up the recorder. This was timestamped telling me that." And there's a see more, so there's more. It's like, it is, there is absolutely no doubt you were in my home. It was timestamped on the answer machine. The sheriff deputy listened to it. All my friends and family listened to it. I let my lawyer knew about it, and she said, "Whatever, it's bullshit." And then I wrote back and I said, "So did you get in the attic or not get in the attic? It's proven that you were in my home." Okay. And that was my whole point, is because I assumed all them years it was Cindy that got in my attic, because I proved Cindy had been sneaking in my home. And Cindy wrote back here, and this didn't even fit. "I don't know anybody that wants to kill you. That's ridiculous." Of course, I didn't say anything about wanting to kill me there, even though I've had my life threatened many times and survived a murder attempt, right? But anyway, she says, "I never got in the freaking attic." That's how come I'm naming this video Freaking Attic, Well, I know Cindy. I was married to her for 7 years, She's saying, "I never got in the freaking attic." And I'm thinking, that sounds like Cindy. I bet she didn't get in the freaking attic. And if Cindy did get in the freaking attic, somebody else got in the freaking attic. Okay? Y'all see that? And you know what that means? That means that home was rigged. It was rigged like all these other homes. Okay? Okay, so a few months after I figured out that somebody had gotten into the freaking attic of my Hobbs home, I came home from work and I found a message on my answering machine where this woman was asking for Cindy. At the end of the call, I heard Cindy pick up the phone and say hello, and then click as she hung up the answering machine. I let friends and family listen to this, okay? And so, it was absolutely no doubt her voice, on the machine. This was proof that she had been sneaking into my home while I was at work, so I assumed that she was the person who had got in the attic, and I forgot about it. Okay, I called the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and they sent a deputy to my home, and he agreed that she'd been in my home but refused to write a report since it was a civil matter. I then contacted my divorce attorney, who sent her attorney a warning that we would file charges if she came into my home again. Okay, and this right here come from my lawyer. I went back and found it. It's August 5th, 2003, but it's dated here on March 2002. That's what I'm saying. It's happened in 2002. And conference with Mr. Webb, re-entry to house by Mrs. Webb. Okay, so, that's what I'm saying. It's proof. I went to my lawyer. But more than that, let me tell you a couple more stories, is that I also, I figured out how she get in my attic, and what happened is when we separated, she gave me the 2 garage door openers. But what I didn't know is she went and had another garage door opener made, and I didn't change the code, thinking that was going to happen or whatever, right? And so that same day, I called the Lee County Sheriff and my family and friends and all that, and they came over. I also called the garage door company, and they come over and reprogrammed my garage door code, and then so after this guy, he come out there, had to wait for the police and all that, and then listen. I let him listen to the message on the machine, and then he didn't charge me. I thought that was weird. He didn't charge me. And I'm thinking, I bet you he knew that she had went and got a spare a garage door opener made. And that's how she was coming in. So I'm at work, and she just driving up, hitting the button, driving in the garage, closing the garage. Nobody didn't even see her car, and then from there, the back door's unlocked, and she can get in the house. And so, that was just proof that Cindy was in my house, and so you couldn't lie her way out of it, And so I'm going to go on and tell this story here too. And it says, after I found the message on my answering machine proving that Cindy had been in my Hobbs home, my brother Danny offered to go by and pick me up a new door lock. He had also chosen to not help me after I was crippled for life in a home invasion murder attempt and now living under the threat of death for no known reason. I've wondered if he knew that Hobbs' home was rigged all along, and maybe he had a spare key made that day. Okay, and here's a picture. We were on family vacation in Ruidoso. I'm just showing you a picture of my brother Danny. I only have one brother. We're extremely close. I come from this close family, but once somebody under my home tried to murder me, and I'm now crippled for life, living under the death threat, people breaking in my home, committing crimes against me, inhumane crimes being committed. Danny flat out told me, "I'm not going to help you." That's exactly what he said. And I've hardly had any communications with him in several years. Okay, and so I'm going to move on to my next comment. I moved to Midland in 2008, and I reported people in the attic here for the first time in January 2011. A year later, I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off in my attic. I've now documented homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, Texas, and many other states reporting people in the attic. These same crimes are going on at many other homes, obviously. After I was shot, my late dad told me that people were insinuating that I was crazy and that I thought people were in the attic of my Hobbs home too. He was referring to this event when my daughter had noticed a light on in the attic. Only a select group of people would know about that. And so that was actually used against me, and I was even surprised, as after I was ambushed and shot here, I had survived this home invasion murder attempt, had been shot with burglar alarms going in the attic, been reporting people in my attic, etc. And then my dad tells me, yeah, people calling you crazy. He said, you thought there was people in your attic of your Hobbs home too, No, my daughter saw the light on it, and there was, And then I proved Cindy had been in my house, and I thought it was Cindy, And so I added this little short video, little proof video. There we go.
That woman is facing charges after police say she burned down her home to get rid of someone who she claimed was in the attic.
300 Hickory. The complainant saying she can hear someone up in the attic. She smells cigarette smoke. She took her family. They're going to be waiting out front.
3116 Geneva. Caller stating that he heard someone in the attic.
610 Jeter. Complainant's going to be a 7-year-old male. Say he can hear yelling and fighting. His mother's in the attic. He can hear her being assaulted. Advising that she thinks there's people inside of her residence in the attic. Address on Springdale. It was reported that he heard voices in the attic.
And so these are just some of the addresses. There's more than that. I've documented just in Midland, Odessa, and people have contacted me all over the nation. As I'm saying right here, California, Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, Arkansas, Alabama. It's widespread racketeering and crime is what it is. This is going on all over the country. And this is an example of a guy in Oregon right here. And breaking point for us is when our children reported seeing people in our room, he gets out a tape measure and finds a hidden crawl space behind a wall. And that's what they're doing. They're coming under a home, tunneling under a home, and then they're modifying a wall with crawl space into the attic. And so they can come and go all they want without being seen. Okay. They break apart the HVAC systems to steal the heating and cooling. So there's a theft of services right there. And of course, threatening the life and the spying and everything else, of the homeowner. And then if you try to stop them, they kill you. That was my experience. And so I suspect that's happened at other places as well. And so basically, I've just wanted to show that, hey, this is going on all over the place. It's not just a home in Midland, but I didn't know that, of course, when I shot. Here's another one. Heather O'Donnell from Hobbs told me that she was hearing people in her attic, and interestingly, the townhouses that she lived in were built by the Callaways. It was the Callaways that built my Hobbs home and the one next to it. She went on to say that her boyfriend, Donnie Cobb, told her that him and another guy shot somebody in Midland. I wondered if she is saying that he shot me. Okay, so here I'm talking to Heather O'Donnell right here. There's a picture of her, and he tried to kill me. His name is Donnie Cobb. She sends a picture of him, right? Okay, she thinks this is a sex trafficking ring. I've said that for a long time too. I mentioned Ryan Cobb because I think that's the son of Lisa Rogers, and Lisa Rogers is the person that told me I was shot with a .45 handgun, and I suspected Ryan Cobb might have been here when I was shot. Okay, and then she tells me when Donnie was drunk, he and his friend shot a guy. And I said, in Hobbs? No, in Midland. Okay, and she had already been telling me there was people in the attic of this home. I've done attic investigation on that home there, and as I said, it's built by the Callaways. They built my home. The thing about the Callaways, that was my first ex-wife's family. We're going to hear about that more in a minute. This one's about the home over in Carlsbad. We saw the video a minute ago, but in 2012, a woman in Carlsbad set her home on fire, saying somebody was in the attic. My dad worked at the whip site by Carlsbad, and he knew many people there. It's only 70 miles from Hobbs. I have a feeling that my dad knew about that home over there, and that's rigged over there in Carlsbad. So I think the same thing. Of course, it's going on all over the country, but I think same thing here in Midland's happening in Hobbs, happening in Carlsbad, happening in many other places, and there's people in my family knew about it, and that explains why they have not helped me and haven't been on my side through this just nightmare that won't end. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to the next comment. 2 years ago, Cindy, the ex-wife, wasn't feeling well, goes to the hospital and passes away there. She was only 55. Because I think she knew about these crimes, which I do, I wondered if she was silenced. Okay, and you know, and over and over and over, I see that here. I can't. You go online, you can't find any obituary for Cindy for whatever reason. I guess her family didn't put one, maybe cost or whatever. I don't know, but this was posted on the Facebook Hobbs High School alumni, and she was in my class of 81, and Cindy Barton passed away late last night at 55 years old, you know. And so that's another suspicious death, you know. I mean, it just seems like everybody connected to the crime ends up dying, you know, and I'm supposed to be dead, of course. You know, here we go. After the gas plant was shut down, this is the history. After the gas plant was shut down in Orland, Texas, back in 1992, that's where Shauna and I lived, I moved back to Hobbs with my daughters and Shauna, and my realtor was the late Mike Burns, who was married to my first wife, or first ex-wife, Tammy Callaway. Remember, I was mentioning Callaways a minute ago. Mike was the guy who found this home for me, and it was Tammy's parents, Ann and Don Callaway, that built it. They had also built the one to the south of it, which they lived in before I moved back. Looking back, I wondered if the Callaways had rigged that home with the tunnel going from their home to my home, and if I had been chosen to move there. I lived there for 16 years. The ex-wife here in Midland told me that I was chosen to buy this home here, and I believe that to be true, as Sarah Lawhon, the widow of Mike Lawhon, who died, you know, the week before the 2008 oil show started, dropped the price an incredible $35,000 and offered it to me after I walked away from negotiations. Okay, and see, I was told, you know, the ex-wife had said, you were chosen to buy this home. And so, to me, what that means is they chose for Mike Lawhon to die, as in they murdered him and took him to Fort Worth, right? But the thing is that also says the crime started before I got here, and I'm looking back going, that Hobbs home was rigged, you know? And they actually tried to throw it in my face. Oh, he's crazy. He thought his Hobbs home was, he thought people in the attic was Hobbs home too, you know? And that was bizarre to me at the time, because I'm like, what? You know, Cindy was in my house. I thought it was Cindy. But then when Cindy said, I wasn't in the freaking attic, then I'm thinking, oh, somebody else was in the freaking attic, you know? And then I'm looking at it, that home was built by my first in-laws, the Callaways, you know, and they lived next door. And I'm going to show you here just a Google Earth map. Okay, and this is Rolling Meadows here, north of Hobbs here, and this was their home. They built both these homes. They built this one and this one. This whole subdivision is the Callaway subdivision, because VJ Callaway owned a lumber yard and a furniture store, and you know, had a lot of money. I think somebody told me, it was Ann Callaway told me once, he's worth $150 million or something like that. And so they lived here before I moved back from Orla, and I bought this house. But the only reason I found that house was because of Mike Burns, the husband of Tammy Callaway, is the one that found me that house, you know. And so that's why I got that house in the first place. And I already knew that her parents used to live here. I used to pick up my son Josh at this house, you know. And so I lived in this house from 1992 to 2008. I raised children there, Christmas, birthdays, etc. Many, many memories, right? You know. But now I'm looking back all these years later, and I'm going, I wonder if a tunnel was built from over here to over here. That's what put people in the attic here. And I'll tell you who else lived here at one time was Violet Colvin and her husband. And you know, and so maybe Violet knows something. And once again, her husband, I can't remember, Todd, I want to say Monet, something like that. Todd, he died. You know, it's just like all these people die at this young age that seem, you know, that are suspects. And so, once again, maybe Violet knows something about these homes being rigged, especially here in Hobbs, New Mexico on Rolling Meadows. And specifically in Callaway. We're going to get into that. Okay. Now I'm going to go on a little bit more. My mom died in Hobbs, New Mexico on December 7th, 2011, with still unanswered questions. And a month later, Don Callaway, my first father-in-law, died on January 5th, 2012. Remember, he's the one that built that home I lived in Hobbs, and the one next to it. 3 weeks after that, I was ambushed and shot with my phone lines cut. So all of a sudden, boom, 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 mom dies, Don dies, and then they try to take me out, right? Okay. And then after I survived the murder attempt, my dad marries Ann Callaway. Now that's bizarre. Y'all got to admit that's bizarre. And quits talking to me. Okay. What if my dad and other members of my family knew about the Hobbs home being rigged all along? That would explain why they have chosen to not help me after, I'm crippled for life, during this home invasion murder attempt and now living under the threat of death. So here's a picture of my mom. And mom dies December 7th, 2011. I have a video on that called The Death of My Mom with Unanswered Questions. I found out that my brother lied to me and my dad about my mom's death, and I even contacted the police over that, okay? And then I was shot right after it happened, okay? But here, Don dies, and there's a story about that because my son, Josh, was here. That's his granddad, okay? Josh was here from Amarillo in January, and the ex-wife had just moved out, okay? And so Josh was going to be here for 4 days and, come down. We're going to get down to the bottom of this, Dad, and I'm finally excited somebody in my family is going to, finally help me stop these crimes. What was weird is I got home and he showed up like a day early, and when I pulled up my driveway from work, here is Josh and his wife Jolene and the girls. And he's got a holster and guns on, I'm like, that's odd, and so then that evening he comes over with his little brother Preston Corgle, and he's telling me that my daughter Jennifer, my oldest daughter, had called him and she was worried, and I'm wondering if Jennifer had found out that they were going to try to kill me, but anyway, there was some interesting conversations that night that they were here, but one of them, Josh tells me, he says, Dad, it just don't make much sense, somebody going underground and going in a tunnel and coming over here, via a tunnel. And he looks over at Preston and he giggles, okay? Well, this is my son. I know him, I raised that boy, right? He's a man now, but, they look at his little brother and giggling. His little brother, Preston Corgle, lived in Midland, right? And so, now we look at it going, that's exactly what is happening. I believe they're going to Home Depot, going underground, coming back over via that tunnel, that now has concrete in it thanks to Homeland, right? And, and I'm thinking my son knew about it all along, and this is just a few weeks before I'm shot by somebody under my home. Well, anyway, that night, we go to bed. The next morning, he knocks on my door with tears in his eyes. And he got a call, and Don died. Okay? So he had to go. And he hasn't been back to my house since, And of course, I'm ambushed and shot a few weeks later. Rest in peace, Don. Okay, so sadly, my dad died in March 2017, but as I said a minute ago, he marries Ann Callaway after I was ambushed shot. Sadly, my dad died in March. I spoke with him a few days before he died and had hoped that he would tell what he knew to help end the nonstop inhumane crimes being committed against me, but he took those secrets to the grave with him. I'm sure he had his reasons, but I also know the truth must come out. And so here's a picture of my dad, okay, and he died here in March 20th, 2017, and I did speak to him right before he died, and he was in the hospital, said, well, they told me, I'm going to die. And I replied back and I said, yeah, that's what I was told too. And he knew what I was talking about. He knew it was, the death threats I've gotten since I survived a murder attempt, Lance Eggleston says, we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You will be silenced, not if, but when. And I said, when are you going to murder me, Lance? And then, another guy says, you have two choices. You can either move or meet God early, and I've had so many, just this week I posted on my Facebook, guy said, bang, bang, Buddy Webb's gone, or something like that on my YouTube. And, I posted it called Death Threat of the Day. I've had so many death threats, Anyway, Ann Callaway, I posted a Facebook, and this long story is going to tell that. Here's where my dad married Ann Callaway. So my dad marries my first mother-in-law, Tammy's mom. Okay, after her husband Don dies, and after my mom dies, and it happened all of a sudden, right? Mom dies, Don dies, bam! I'm ambushed and shot, and then Dad and Ann Callaway get married. Okay, and so I'm going to tell you this little story. In a way, it's kind of funny, but here I'll just read it to you real quick. Married and divorced before 18. That was the old Facebook post. Some people don't know that I was married and divorced before I was 18. Tammy got pregnant, and I did what I thought was the right thing to do at the time. This is my character, and I have no regrets. At the time, my dad told me if I walked away from Tammy, then he would buy me a Corvette and send me to college. Ian told me that Josh wasn't my baby, but in spite of this, I chose to marry her anyway. I had to man up and take care of my responsibility. In a recent post, I joked about having a child with my stepsister, which is now true, but I clarified it. Okay, and you see how, how Tammy, Josh's mom, right, my first wife, become my stepsister when Ann married my dad, right? Okay, so some people just can't take a joke, because that pissed her off. For the record, I don't drink any alcohol at all, and also don't take drugs, and the illegal kind or the prescription kind. I do take a blood pressure medicine. I give God all of the credit for saving my life, and I read my Bible twice a day. I tried to be completely honest in my posts, and I posted a ton of evidence which shouldn't leave any doubts to the truth. I welcome any legitimate question, and I'll even open up my home to show you the evidence for some people. Some people don't trust. I fully expect to be vindicated here and my name cleared. Okay, this is an old Facebook message. And here is below is my first message from my new stepmother that I received today. This come in from Ann Callaway. Okay, you can say or do whatever you want to say or do to your family, but you better back off mine. You most definitely have some mental issues that need to be addressed. You need to ask for help so that we may all be a family. Boy, I don't know what you were on, but it's some bad stuff. When I found Don dead in the shower at 6 a.m. on January 5th, 2012, her husband, Don Callaway, Josh is the first person I called. I did not know he was at your house because you had called him about all this idiotic stuff. And I think that's bull crap anyway. They came down for Christmas, for a late Christmas, and they all lived in Amarillo, and Josh drives all the way here, and she didn't know about it? Bull crap. He took his gun because he goes with him everywhere. I was talking about he came with a gun. And wearing the holster. He came to see if he could help in some way. Little did he know you had stoned yourself out of your mind. But he ain't no conspiracy on my husband's death. He had a massive heart attack per his death certificate. You married my daughter and had a son 34 years ago. I dare you to say you had a child by your stepsister. That's what pissed her off. I was joking. I have a son, it's like a Jerry Springer. And then you wonder if we have nothing to do with you. By the way, did you not raise your son? Remember Louisiana, Buddy Webb? Or shall I remind you what horrible things you have said against your son and insinuated? Josh is a well-respected father of two beautiful little girls, doing okay, has no desire to be a part of you because of your issues, and neither does your two daughters by someone else. Isn't this enough for you to go and seek help? Is this drug worth your family, both sides, your job, your quality of life? For God's sake, do something. We all know that your injury was not done by burglars. Last but not least, because of the humiliation, the lies, the insanity reaction, the issues, I feel that I must protect my own and will be seeking legal action against you. You have publicly tried to destroy my respect, my judgment, and have totally embarrassed your only son beyond words. You did it online, my friend. This is a federal offense. You need and must be sent somewhere for help that no one can help you but God and medical help. You are always throwing people's names around. My name is Callaway, and VJ Callaway will not appreciate these accusations that are throwing around. I advise you, big boy, you better be making some back statements. PDQ, see you, by the way, I didn't want you at my wedding. That is the main reason you were not invited. It was one of the happiest occasions of my life, and I didn't want some malicious, insane person around. I cannot believe how you have ruined your life. No one did it to you, Buddy Wayne. You did it. You lost your job. You lost your benefits, your integrity, your family. Is that stuff worth all this? Ann Callaway Webb. Okay. And so I just wanted to, and I'm going to show you a picture of Ann Callaway here. Obviously, Ann Callaway knows about the crimes being committed against me, my first mother-in-law, and then my stepmother. Okay. And so, y'all have all seen the proof, absolute proof. I wasn't shot with my gun. All these people that, the people that are trying to call me crazy are the ones you need to, suspect, right? I mean, because I wasn't shot with my gun. Homeowners all over the place are reporting people in the attic. All kinds of people are reporting, tunnels, underground homes here, including a recent candidate for sheriff. Obviously, I've done nothing but tell the truth, and I don't drink or do drugs, and she's smearing my name on that one. Okay, so here's my next comment. This is from text messages between my son Josh and myself, where he admits to knowing about the crimes going on here. He has chosen to not help me nor talk to me for no known reason. My guess is that Josh also knew that the Hobbs home was rigged, which means he knew this one in Midland was too. I believe that my family could have stopped the crimes against me a long time ago, but for some unknown reason they haven't. So this is part of a text message from Josh. And this was actually rare because the rest of my family has just basically quit talking to me. Most of them. My youngest daughter, I see and talk to, but pretty much the rest of my family, obviously they know something about the crimes that are and have been committed against me. So here's just this part of text message, because I texted him one day. I said, where do you stand? I need your help. You're my son. I got my life's threatened. Dad, I love you with everything I have. You ask where I stand on the crimes committed against you. Well, as always, I stand with you. However, with no disrespect towards you and in hope to be a voice of reason, I feel strongly that continuing to fight this battle is a losing situation. As you know, I've had my fair share of run-ins and bouts with the police and other groups, and there comes a time when it's best to put your pride aside and just to walk away. That has not ever been the easiest thing for me, nor do I think it will be easy for you, but to continue to fight this battle when there is obviously no judicial support is pointless. And even more importantly, it's dangerous. If I use that word very loosely, the evidence that you have is conclusive that there is truly something happening. Of course, yeah, it's truly a capital attempted murder, right? And nobody will listen or see the same things as you. Well, that's not true. Then I'm forced to say that you are fighting a losing battle that isn't achieving anything other than costing you, your family and friends, and possibly your life in the end. I'm asking you, please, from the bottom of my heart, walk away from this fight. We are small potatoes, obviously, in comparison to these people, and I don't want to lose my daddy to the fact that he's just too damn proud to walk away from my house. That house can be sold or another be bought. It's a material item. They have no value as far as I'm concerned. Please do not shut me out for what I've said here. I only want to end this before I lose you. I'm sure the girls all truth feel the same as I do. It's just hard for anyone to say this is in fear or pride that will get in the way and make us angry at the person. I love you, Dad. We miss you. And I really want you to think about what I've said here. Think about leaving that horrible situation. You are more than welcome to come here to Amarillo. It's cheaper. And Kylie and Cadence, my two granddaughters, laugh and save yourself. Here's the thing, my family and many others want me to move, right? I mean, that's been the whole thing. Well, the last homeowner put this home up for sale, and he was dead 2 weeks later. And that just tells you that homes don't kill people. And I'm looking back going, no, that home in Hobbs was rigged, That's before I moved here, And, that doesn't stop. It's not the home that kills people. It's the people that kill people, That's who you have to stop, is the ones that point guns at people and pull the trigger, the killers, And past that, and I am not going to run and hide for the rest of my life, look over my shoulder, waiting for the next bullet, and have these liars call me crazy when I've done nothing but tell the truth. There ain't no way. I'd rather die first, And more than that, I don't want my grandkids, Kylie, Cadence, and I got 7 of them, growing up with the shame that's been told to these life-destroying lies spread about their family, going, oh, he's crazy. When I'm not crazy, they have rigged homes with hidden access and to steal and kill. Okay, and so then here I've got some pictures from Orla, me and Josh here by the river on the motorcycles, and you can see us there. That's when we lived in Orla, and the kids are young, and I want to show you that. This is when Josh and Jolene got married, and me and the girls, and of course now they're all grown with their own families, and that was over in Lubbock at Buddy Holly Park. Okay, and so I know there's more than that, So anyways, I'm going to close that out. I guess that is the end of it right there. So the point here is it looks like the Hobbs home was rigged. I got a feeling the in-laws were connected to that, and the Callaways, and I think Ann Callaway knows something about that. and I think that's probably explains what's happened with my family and why they're not standing beside me. But I also know that the truth has to come out. And I'm not the only victim. I believe a lot of people have been killed. They killed the guy that lived before me. They murdered that little girl at the oil show party. And I don't think they're not. This here will stop them. This home. The reason people want me out of this home is because this is going to stop this crime ring and all these crimes. This Buddy Way of Midland, Texas. Please share this story.